There is a video that has surfaced. I wish Rob was here for this, but John Campea put out a clip, a video that I think begs commentary. It's like 5 minutes. We'll watch most of it. I will stop for commentary here and there. And let me know if you would like me to stop. Let me know, because I think he brought up an amazing point that is worthy of discussion and commentary. So we will watch this together. I'll put it up on
Time
screen
to get some
here.
new clips. I hope he says woke again. That's going to be a good
Maybe
one.
talking about another actor's junk for like 30
Yes,
minutes.
please. What did he hunt for this time?
The clips of John that go viral,
They're great.
do tend to be like on the embarrassing side, but this, I mean, it's fine. You know, look, out of context, I 100% have said stupid, insane stuff and clip me, whatever. But this, he's saying something worthy of discussion, worthy of all of us talking about. So I'll put my headphones on. I will, if you want me to pause it, raise your hand and I'll pause it. But we're gonna try to watch most of this, or at least a chunk, to get it here. It was prompted by a question from his audience. So let's do this.
Okay, we got Anonymous who says AMC has now started what they're calling blockbuster pricing. Any movie under their definition of a blockbuster will be about $1 more expensive for the duration of the run. It used to only be opening weekend. If you look, Beetlejuice is more expensive. Is it more expensive in like IMAX or Dolby, or is that across the board?
I'm a movie pundit. I, in my own head, at least, try to champion.
Okay.
Pundit.
The movie pundit. All right. That's he is. And look, I watch John regularly. He's very good, and I mean this as a compliment. I think he's very good at providing what a average moviegoer thinks. He's not really into indie movies or documentaries, or he is a fan of blockbuster mainstream entertainment. Okay, so you know, you can and so I like that. I like that he is I again, not an insult. He's a normie's opinion on something, and that I want to hear that. So we'll continue here. We'll continue.
Normie show confirmed.
In the movie industry, I love the movie industry. I love the movie going experience. But I am getting so close to saying fuck you to the entire movie going industry.
Thanks, Anonymous.
Like, seriously, I'm getting so I believe I'm getting really, really close to just saying, you know what? Fuck the movie industry. I've been saying for a while now that if the movie going experience dies, the tombstone, you guys have heard me say this, the tombstone will not read, as some predicted all along throughout the eras, died by VHS or died by DVDs or died by Blu-ray or died by streaming. For every single one of those things, people predicted that movies were going to die, and it never did. You know what the gravestone's going to say? The gravestone will say, here lies the movie-going industry, death by suicide, because they're fucking killing themselves. They're killing themselves.
To bring up this pricing, if it is true, like
Yeah. What's his reason going to be? What does he actually think? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
No, please chime in.
Oh, I was just going to say, what is his, because I think I could guess what his reason will be. What does he think the reason they're killing themselves? Because I don't think it's what the actual reason
they're
is.
making bad decisions. Now,
Yeah.
look, I'm an A-list member. I pay the one fee monthly, but I guess for other people, there's blockbuster pricing. So if I'm just not a subscriber to A-list, like, you go in now, movies cost more. Now, it was James Cameron who actually suggested that. You know, like,
so he's talking about the cost of making, but does he understand that that's because they've fired everyone that knew how to make shit under budget, and that all we have now are, at the very best interpretation, a bunch of incompetent people who kept their job, even if they're free of ideology? It's the reason everything is bloated.
I mean, I guess that's his
he's
point. It's
saying-
by suicide. They're killing themselves. It's not from some other, it's not streaming. It's not, DVD. It's not this, it's not that. It's literally in-house. That's, I guess, his point. I'm still waiting to hear. I don't know
the
if he
question
goes
is-
into that any further than that, but
Well,
that
we'll-
is an
we'll
interesting
see
position.
the
Like,
video.
you guys are kind of doing it to yourselves.
The question is he blaming the movie theaters or is he blaming Hollywood, the studio?
Right.
Well, he
that's what
says
I'm
here
saying.
the movie industry. So, yeah, what part of
What's
the
he
industry
referring
is he
to?
blaming?
Because
Let's finish the video
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, does he go
No,
into it?
go
That's
ahead,
what
Alan. You were gonna
yeah.
say something, Alan.
it's look, Inside Out 2, Deadpool versus Wolverine. People will go see movies.
Mhm.
Problem is there's nothing to watch other
Yeah.
than the 2 movies.
And that has to do with basically this unnatural expansion of Hollywood that grew between 2012 and 2018, and now it's burst, and now it's kind of resetting itself.
Yeah.
And the people that caused a lot of this problem are no longer getting work, and the people that managed to survive and hang on are struggling to find money. And some of the studio heads that have already changed gears, excluding Disney, are trying to figure out, well, how do we get back to the good old days? And can we go back to the good old days? And it's a little bit of a Wild West right now.
Yeah, but in a way they're blaming John Campea, the moviegoer, those of us who like movies, by charging us extra by not producing anything we want to see. It's our fault. Again, we're the racists, we're the misogynists. It's our
according to Disney, yes.
fault. It's always
According to Disney, it's your fault that you're not going to go see their movies because, hey, we had $1 billion movie for 5 movies.
Oh, play it before chat kills us. They're already
Let's
chat
get
wants
back
to
to
hear
the
it.
video
I
and then
wanna
we'll
hear it.
comment on the other side. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're just now like people are just starting to go back to the theaters like and loving it. I mean,
I wonder if anyone will notice though. Like if it's $1 more, they'll
well,
just
I
think
mean,
ticket prices
there
went
are
up.
some people that probably
But here's the thing: the movie theaters, particularly AMC, under the leadership of that supreme grand poobah jackass they've got as the CEO, they believe in the whole killing a lobster slowly by putting. Because what do they say? You drop it in a pot of boiling water; it'll try to jump out. You put it in a pot of water and then slowly turn up the heat and boil it, and then you boil it to death.
it's a frog.
What companies like AMC, and remember, I know it doesn't sound like it. I have a lot of love in my heart for AMC still. I worked with them for a lot of years. I still know people that are there. There's always going to be a special place in my heart for AMC theaters. They're still the place that I go to primarily to watch my movies. But in most of the grand, stupidest decisions that have been made by the movie theater industry, AMC has led the way in them.
Oh my God.
And this whole other thing of these fucking morons who go, how do we make more money? Should we do things that will bring more people into the theaters? Nah. Let's just figure out ways to get more money out of the people who already come. And when those numbers decline, we'll just figure out a way to get more money to make up for it out of the people who still come. And when that chases a certain percentage of them away.
So he's echoing a complaint that
What
was
he is
actually a concern.
saying is they're trying to get more money out of the people who are already regular customers, which doesn't bring in new people. The audience, to be clear, numbers wise, the audience is shrinking. Fewer and fewer people are going to the movies on a regular basis. Have you ever seen those? They're not memes, but people will post a photo of a marquee from a movie theater in the 80s in some random weekend. And it's unbelievable how many cool movies. There's a romantic comedy and a comedy and an R-rated movie and an action movie and a sci-fi movie. And you go to the theater and just pick one. That's sold out. I'll go to this one instead.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, the options were limited. But what John's bringing up here is something I remember quite vividly in 2005 and 2006. And that is the theaters were actually upping the price even when the movies were still good.
right.
Because they and it's actually a fool's errand for any business. You don't want to price your audience out of the ability to enjoy your product.
Yeah, and also so what he's saying, it's not bringing in new people. And Tarantino even said in an interview recently that movies used to be a blue collar entertainment.
Yep.
It's like Blue collar, you're not buying a ticket to a Broadway play for a couple $100, but you can spend $5 to go see a movie, and it was very blue collar. And now we've seen it even where they don't even address blue collar concerns. Blue collar characters used to populate the movies, right? Norma Ray, you can like Every Which Way You Can, Any Which Way But Loose. Clint Eastwood with a monkey movie. He was a trucker. Think of all the movies and the types of characters that were the heroes / protagonists in films. They were everyday working regular people. Hollywood has stopped telling those stories.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's saying it's from the theater standpoint, but the theaters are just putting out what Hollywood is making. So if Hollywood isn't making the kind of movies that people want to go to, why would people come to the movies? That's why I keep saying you got to go back and do original content, because everybody's kind of tired of the blockbuster. You'll still go and see Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out. But like you said, the ticket prices are more expensive. So less people have to show up. Audiences are shrinking. We are seeing less people going to the theaters, unless, and what are theaters supposed to do to bring in people? What are they supposed to do?
Yeah,
popcorn buckets? Yeah, you can make popcorn buckets a thing, and you might get some people to show up because of a popcorn bucket, or you start putting on UFC or WWE content. That's what you're doing, or you're putting on, but I mean, what are they supposed to do if Hollywood's just churning out crap and nobody wants to go and see the crap that Hollywood churns out? And then, we'll just push this thing right to VOD, streaming or whatever within a couple of weeks, like we saw with The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy spent 3 weeks in theaters and then it goes to VOD. So why and I talk to my kids all the time because my kids are both Gen Z and they have zero interest, zero interest in going, shit, Alan, you were in my stream last night where we were talking about this. What is it that's going to get people to go to the theaters? Why should I go to the theaters? Kids don't go to the theaters. They want, and so they're losing the Gen Z audience by, the content that they're pushing out. Not only that, but the fact that they are allowing people to say, okay, we're just going to push this to streaming, within, a month or two. And so it's like, well, what's the point of going to a theater? So that's part of this whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what draws kids into theaters are exceptionally good movies. Not just good movies. They have to be exceptionally good. And we're not getting that. And they know it's bad. They knew from the trailers that The Marvels was going to be a bad movie.
Yeah.
Show up.
And from your review, Alan.
And I have that kind of power.
Theaters should just be playing the best movies from all time on repeat. Like I went and I saw the entire extended edition of Lord of the Rings at my local theater. And like, if they were doing that for all the classics that I missed as a kid or, growing up, wasn't able to see, I'd go there every.
A third of my theater during that run, during the Lord of the Rings extended, was Gen Z, and they were dressed as hot.
There you go. Yeah, because the parents
is, though,
passed it on.
If we were living in the golden age of movies right now, even if we were, we're still getting priced out. That's the problem. And I agree with John here. I rarely ever agree with John Campea, but he's right. We're being priced out, right? We're living in a time where a carton of eggs is $10. So people just don't have the money. I remember a time where you can go to the movie, go watch a movie, and then go watch another movie right after. You pay your $5 or $8 and go watch another movie right after that, right?
How do they pay rent?
You can't do
it's
that.
Not their fault.
You can't do that stuff anymore, though.
Yeah, but look, if you go to the theater down the street from my house, it's empty. Price it however you want. You've got to be able to draw people in. Yeah, you got to be able to draw people in, because if your theater is mostly empty most of the time at regular prices, it's going to be even less attended with higher prices.
No, that's not true. No, Alan, come on. There's a difference between dropping $20 for a movie and $10 for a movie, right?
But if no one's there, it doesn't matter. No one's there in the first place. It doesn't.
Well, they're not there because they don't want to pay $20 a movie.
No, they want to see good movies.
There's that. I mean, you're both kind of right. They're not there because they don't want to pay that much for a movie, and they're not there because the movies aren't any good. The other part too is that this is actually the first time in human history where the target demographic, the 18 to 35, don't have disposable income.
Yeah.
They just don't. In fact, we comment frequently about, they're targeting the modern audience. Well, the modern audience, every generation, is 18 to 35 and what we think they want. And that's what we're trying to appeal to. But the 18 to 35 in this generation, we don't really know what they want. And what we see of what they want looks terrible. And they're very, very small. And they also don't have any money. So the audiences they have to be targeting for are basically over 35 to 60. But at the same time, they know what the prices are at movies. They don't want to spend the little money that they do have and do get on going to go see a movie that's going to suck, especially when it's so transparent now with the advertising and also with the way that journalists these days are not actually covering what's the story about, what character are you playing. They're talking about how gay is it, what type of ideology is it pushing
Is this
here.
the gayest show ever?
Exactly. It's like it's not. There's a big problem with the publication side of things, the advertising side of things, and the studios that have actually abandoned the ideology that Disney is doubling down on are taking too long to kind of course correct at this point.
But just a sec, we're not here to bag on Campea. I want to discuss what
I don't think we have.
he is talking about. These
I'll defend the
ideas.
movie theaters.
And-
What
and
are
I-
they
and I
supposed
agree.
to do? They have to pay rent, and there's no movies bringing people in, even if they play all the classics. They're still playing Deadpool and Wolverine, for Christ's sake.
And it's hard to gauge, like, the theater I go to on a regular basis, AMC Burbank 16, that is the #1 most profitable AMC theater in the nation. It's 16 screens. It's nearly always packed. Even when a small movie goes there, they get a decent audience. But around the country and where you are, Alan, like, I hear stories of people go in and they're basically going into an empty theater. It's kind of sad.
There's 25 parking spots in front of my theater, and if I can actually find a parking spot, it's a bad business.
The thing is, you're not just paying $20 for the ticket, right? You're paying $15 for a soda, $15 for popcorn, right? You're dropping at least $50.
Well, let's not go. If you can find a way to sneak in a cup, you can,
okay.
yeah.
If you don't do the grifter thing, then sure, you'll spend less. But my point is like we just said, it used to be a blue collar thing where you could take your family, a family to go watch a movie and not drop $100 like you do now.
Yep,
That's how much I pay if I take my family to see a movie. At least $100.
I can go to a comedy
That's
club with my
only because you
girlfriend.
get hamburger and pizza, Alan.
Yes, and my family.
Why don't you smuggle in a hamburger yourself?
Well, my wife does that all the time.
Let's watch.
But that's $60. It's still $60.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Come on. All right.
We'll make up for that deficit by charging those fewer people now that are still coming even more. This ain't rocket science. When I walk into a movie theater boardroom, I shouldn't be the smartest guy in the room.
Facts.
It is not high calculus to figure out, you know what we need to do? We need to bring people back to the theaters in bigger numbers. We should be working to increase the movie-going experience, maybe stop showing 30 fucking minutes of trailers before that nobody wants. We want trailers. Nobody wants 30 minutes of trailers. Nobody wants $12 popcorn buckets. I understand concessions have to be a little bit more expensive. That's how the movie theaters make their money. I do understand that. But instead of focusing on how do we bring more people back to the theaters and increase the enjoyment of the movie-going experience, jackalopes like AMC and the people who run it are saying, how can we squeeze more money out of the few people that still come? And creating a death spiral to themselves. Fuck you, AMC. For
Very
just,
toxic.
let's just figure out more ways to add more prices to everything. Fucking more prices. Well, John, we have to increase prices because we got to think. Well, then do things to bring more people in instead of chasing more people away. Nah. It's just easier to do this. It's not rocket science. Meanwhile, fucking anal cavities like the guy running AMC give themselves $9 million bonuses while they continue their mission of chasing more and more people away from the movie theaters. And if it sounds like I get upset about this, it's because this is something that I love. I love the movie theaters. I love the movie-going experience. But they're killing themselves. They're killing themselves and trying to keep themselves on life support by tapping the veins of the people who still come. And that's a fucked up way to do business.
He's not wrong.
I'm still trying to figure out.
He's not wrong at all. He's not wrong at all.
I
I
like
don't
the
know.
anal
If
cavity reference.
Yeah, what is the anal
yeah,
cavity?
that was kind of wrong.
And that's what does he think
Oh,
the
that dude,
solution
the
is,
anal
though?
cavity.
How could the theaters bring more people in, ignoring the state of the movie industry? Free popcorn day? What are we doing?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do? You have like what is it? Like I said, you can offer them stuff like, hey, we have this special popcorn bucket, and that might get some more people to show up, or whatever. Chris Gore will definitely show up for that. You can have, they've changed the theaters, like the layout of the theaters are completely different. Now you have the recline,
bowling
and
alleys
seat.
now and brew houses and restaurants.
I think like every theater I go to has a bar, so you can kind of make an evening of it.
A theater for like $50 and like play video games on it or watch movies. They're insane.
But
they got to do what they got to do. That's the problem.
Yeah, a lot of theaters I know do events like that, especially in like summer. They'll do special events to get the families in and do special discounts for families and kids that come in. They'll play all the favorite family films. Like theaters have to do that. That's what you should do. And yeah, I agree with Campea doing that. AMC has just lost it as far as their approach. That shouldn't be to like punish the consumer. You should try to be incentivizing the consumer in other ways for them to come in, entice them to coming in and spend their money and feel like they're getting a good value for their money. And yeah, it's just some theater chains can do that and have gotten a handle on it and are succeeding. I don't think like nickel and diming you though. You're just gonna kill. AMC is gonna slowly die if it continues that, I think.
Yeah.
But
one thing
there's
I'm talking about is, Chris and I have heard stories of just this war that goes on between the studios and the movie theaters, especially the family-owned movie theaters. It gets very contentious at times. Who gets on the big screen? How many weeks you go? The cut you take. It is frustrating to the point of almost wanting to give up and get out of the business altogether.
Oh, I've heard the blowbacks when a movie doesn't perform. Like I've heard the screaming shouts from the hallway where it's like, why didn't you make this much money at the theater? Well, why didn't you make a good movie? Like it's literally that type of childish argument that goes on.
It's interesting that when Disney was hot, they could dictate all the rules. And then when it started going bad, when Wish came out, when the Marvels came out, oh boy, did that tone change fast.
And I feel like studios used to have a good working relationship with the theaters, and not anymore. It's like
AMC and Regal, yes,
against each other, that they're competing against each other.
Now. Yeah,
I mean, there are movies that could have gone to theaters that just went straight to streaming, and there used to be like this synergy between the two businesses, and now it's just like everyone for themselves.
Yeah,
Netflix 2 minutes left. Let's watch the last couple minutes here.
And I am getting dangerously close as the biggest champion for the movie going experience to saying, you know what, guys, nobody go to the movie theaters anymore. Nobody go anymore. Fuck those guys. Screw them for constantly trying to rip off and squeeze every dollar out of every individual person that they can. Screw them for refusing to acknowledge what would make a better experience for people coming to their movie theaters. Just screw them. Screw the studios for shortening more and more and more the theatrical window for movies. We're at a point now, guys, where I'm literally reading stories about a studio announcing a digital release date for a movie that hasn't even started its theatrical run yet. Conditioning the audience more and more. You don't need to go to the movie theaters. We're going to have the new Glenn Powell, whatever movie it is, on home streaming in 7 days after it opens in theaters. That's hyperbole, I'm saying, but it's making a point. So yeah, I'm getting close to the point of saying, fuck the movie business. Fuck them. They don't care about us. They just see us as grapes to be squeezed. Fuck them. Anyway. Thanks, Anonymous.
Yeah, thank you.
I totally disagree with that last half. It's like blaming gas stations for gas prices.
Right.
Well,
right.
he put it equally on both sides. I think he said, yeah, the theaters are, gouging you and trying to get more money out of your pocket. At the same time, the movies are announcing, hey, it's going to streaming VOD in record time. So it's like it's both sides need to figure this thing out.
But the thing
But
is,
even
movie
that's part
theaters
of it.
are in survival mode, and they're doing whatever
Right.
they can to do is survive. The studios aren't, and the studios have the power because they're the ones producing it. And I don't blame movie theaters because if people give up like John Campea will, it's going to radically change the way we experience movies from now on. Because Netflix has already given up on theaters.
Yeah.
They definitely have movies that should be in theaters.
Deadpool and Wolverine with an entire crowd screaming, and you can feel the energy, is the type of movies you want to see with a crowd in theaters. And like, I don't want that to go away, but that can't just be because concessions are expensive and because the tickets are expensive. It has to be because a lot of the things that they're offering just aren't good, unfortunately.
And that's not the movie
Yeah.
theater's fault.
Exactly.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
even
The
when they
movie
are
theaters can only
good-
show what's available. That's it. They can only
So it's
show
not
what's
the
available.
studios shortening the release window, it's them producing short.
Well, it's also like that too, because even good movies are pushed to streaming very soon. Like Doom Part 2, I think, was available to purchase digital within like 7 weeks or something like that. It was crazy.
like
was
45
doing
How long
days
did
after.
movies
very
sit in
well.
theaters when we were
Yeah.
when we were coming up? Movie would sit in theaters for
6 months.
How long did Titanic?
at the
run
very
in
least
theaters?
6 months. At
Yeah.
the very least 6 months before you even thought about it coming out on video.
Yeah.
And
So
Twisters was doing great as well. And I think they announced it was coming out a month later on streaming. And A Quiet Place Day 1, the weekend I went to see it, like the next day, they announced it was going to streaming the next week. And it was only
that's-
like
that's
the
hurting
opening
the
weekend
theater.
I saw it. I
That
was
is
like,
called
what?
panic behavior because
And it was
they're
doing
looking
solid
for-
numbers.
It was doing solid numbers, but it's a panic behavior because they're just looking at, we need to make X amount of dollars by the end of this quarter.
Right.
And they're just trying to bring that cash in all the way too quickly. I think it has to do with there's been this horrible habit, and this habit has been spoken about since 2010, which is that studios aren't investing in mid-budget movies anymore in the $10 to $30 million range. And when you're doing that and you're spending up to $100 million, yeah, you as a producer, you're taking a great cut of that for yourself. But now you've just made the distance for making money on on that film so much further away than it ever has been before. And studios have to kind of break that habit. And it's really, really, I mean, right now Paramount's kind of doing it, even though they're struggling under and going through a massive amount of layoffs with their new ownership at Skydance. Warner Brothers is still in that dicey territory, but they've had some pretty good movies with Doom Part 2, with Wonka, and what was the other one that just came out recently that did fairly okay? It's escaped my mind right now, but they're kind of on the slow path of recovery. I have no idea what the heck's going on at Universal right now. Sony has been Sony. Like they haven't changed much in a while. They put out a good one here and there, but most of the time they're kind of mid films. And then Disney, well, they're spending, triple digits and then some, not just on feature films, but on freaking streaming stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much money out, no opportunity for it to come in. And what are the theaters supposed to do? Well, if the audience is on the decline, we need to make sure we make up our revenue for each quarter so that we can maintain operations. So we have to raise prices. So it's basically a snake eating its own tail at this point.